Find out we've been live 10 minutes.
Yeah. All right, welcome. Yeah, this is weird. I forgot how to do this.
Yeah,
Welcome everybody to the Phantom Zone. That's right. Uh, First show of the new year. Got to dust off the old the old presentation skills. Uh, I'm Jason. I'm your host for tonight's, aka Retro Tigo, and I'm joined as always by my buddy Tim, the comic collector. How are you doing tonight, Tim?
what's up? I was just gonna say, I think this is like my second or third live show since the big holiday break, and I still
Right.
feel out of sorts and
Right.
thrown off.
So if you stumbled upon this either live or in the past or in the future, I guess, this is the Phantom Zone. This is where we talk about Superman and the exploits of Superman. Anything goes with Superman. And yeah, tonight we'll be doing the start of some Elseworlds comics. So super excited to get into those. I know Elseworlds are some of your favorite stories, Tim.
It's so funny because we were talking about maybe doing an origin saga because we did a Kryptonite saga,
Right.
and it's funny. This is like the beginning of the Elseworld saga, but it's an origin too.
And that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons
Yeah,
why I suggested it, because it is an origin story, but it's also Elseworld. So
yeah,
we
it's a good one.
we are nothing if not good at transitioning themes.
I would tell anyone if you're looking to collect DC comics and you look at the Elseworlds, I won't say every single Elseworlds is like the greatest story, but even if you hit a story you don't like, every single one of them is interesting. You
Right.
know what I mean? Even if you don't like the story, you're still gonna like want to keep that book in your collection because it's a cool version of that hero.
Right. And for those who don't know, Elseworlds was what, early '90s.
Yeah, I think it was like early '90s, and in a way they're still doing it. They just don't call it Elseworlds
Right.
anymore.
And they're basically what if tales, right?
Yeah.
So for instance, some that we may do in the future, it's like, what if Superman were on the what, Knights of the Round Table or something along those lines? What if Superman
Yeah.
was in the Civil War? And then
Yeah.
tonight, what if Superman had landed in Gotham rather than in a in a farm in Kansas?
It's such a great just taking that one what if Superman landed, or maybe the most famous story of all, which leads into another section of news. But what if he lands in Russia?
Right.
What if he landed in Britain? That's an Elseworld story. Like, so many good possibilities with that.
Well, you mentioned news. Let's get into the news. I have been out of commission from most things for most of January, so I do apologize to you guys out there. I know we had promised Phantom Zone in January, but life was throwing me a few curveballs in January, so we're picking it up in
Yes.
February.
Retrotigo side of town didn't get the memo that 2020 ended.
Right. Yes. Yes. My life continued on from 2020 for about a month. So
Dang, man. Yeah, I ain't gonna say anything that happened on the air, but man, I feel for you. It's crazy.
running with the pandemic and running with a death in the family. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was one right after the other. But we
Hmm.
have tons of news.
Yeah, it's kind of segueing in, and maybe the funnest of the news. We did get the announcement, and keep in mind, all this news may not be like breaking, but since
Right.
our last episode, they announced that McFarlane Toys Red Sun Superman. What you think about it?
It's awesome. Yeah, that'll be my next purchase. I've kind of been getting out of action figures mainly because I don't have anywhere to display them right now.
Yeah,
And we've talked about it before, but a lot of them are just in tubs in my basement. And
yeah,
that's no life for an action figure. So thankfully I've been sort of coming to the realization that I need to selectively choose my action figures. I can't get every single Superman, but the Red Sun Superman figure is probably the next one I'm
yeah.
definitely gonna get.
Well, like I've only been into figures about a year, and I thought right off the bat, like I just need one of a character. Like just give
Right.
me one Superman. But I guess just sort of like with comics, when it comes to Batman and Superman, I kind of want like every version. You know,
Yeah, no, that's what it is, and that's how I
yeah.
was with Flash, and that's why I have a huge tub of full of Flash figures.
Think about it this way: if like storage space or display space stopped us,
Right,
we wouldn't be collecting.
right.
But I think that drops either late this month or early next month, and
Yeah,
it went up for pre-order like what, the end of January.
yeah, on
I've
Amazon.
never been a pre-order. I like a pre-order guy. I like the hunt. I prefer to find everything hunting.
Right.
But like with the Devastator and Grim Knight, for instance, what they came out in September, and I didn't find them till what, January, you know, late December. So I mean, I don't mind waiting if that's what it comes to. I don't know. I just don't trust. I kind of don't trust pre-orders. I've been hearing a lot of. I mean, through eBay, people have been
Right.
pre-ordering comics and they just never get them, and eBay don't care.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think you could trust Amazon fairly well with that kind of stuff, as long as it's coming from like McFarlane or sold through Amazon, right?
yeah,
Um,
the this is a bit different news. Another thing I'm excited about, they're coming out with the Batman Beyond wave.
yes.
That actually dropped yesterday on Target's site, I believe, because it's a Target exclusive. Sold out day of.
Yeah,
So
I've been following that on Instagram via action figure Instagram sites, and I don't know. That's one of the reasons I've been being getting turned off on action figures as well. Is I started collecting like the GI Joe uh,
yeah,
declassified figures, I think they're called, and a lot of those are Target exclusives, and they they don't even reach the floor. They don't even
that's
reach.
what I've wondered about. Like, because going back with the Dark Knights wave, like they never really got to stores in St. Louis at all. Like
Right.
the Green Lantern one and the Cyborg one did, like the ones nobody wants, but like the Devastator, I've never seen that in person. I ended up waiting long enough to where I got it with shipping included under retail off eBay. Like I
Yeah.
just waited until nobody cared anymore. And I kind of wonder, is that what's going to happen with like the Red Sun or Batman Beyond? Like if it sells out like it did, does that mean the store doesn't get any because they sold out online? You know?
Well, the store should get some, I think, independently of online sales, but still, you're at the whim of like when they get shipments, and if those,
Yeah.
like with the GI Joe stuff, especially, like people go there when they know the stock is being put out, and they catch
Yeah,
the
there is a
workers.
site for that.
Yeah,
Or there's like pages that people could track that.
so they catch the workers like as they're even opening the crates or the boxes, and like they just nab them before they
Yeah.
even. And part of the problem with especially the GI Joe stuff, not to completely derail things, is like the Cobra Troopers, you buy multiples because you build armies out of
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah. I watch MCE on YouTube here. He's a
mm,
toy hunter. That's like how I know about their sites to tell you when stock's showing up at stores and stuff.
right,
And he was having the same trouble with GI Joe because people are trying to army build,
right,
and because flippers know that, they're just buying them and charging double and all that.
yeah. So I I quickly came to the end of that collecting phase. I think I got most of the first wave, and then ever since it's been Target exclusive after Target exclusive, and it's just I can't ever find them. So
Well, it's funny. I got the what's he called, the Grim Knight. I found at a GameStop. Well, I know when that came out, it was a Walmart exclusive. Like I didn't expect to see
yeah,
that at a GameStop. So maybe they're just exclusive for like a period of time.
right. That's
But
someplace I need to check out a little bit more frequently.
yeah,
But then their prices are always out of control.
yeah. Like I, I'm not scared of the pandemic, but GameStop feels like one of those stores that, like, when you go into it, like any GameStop I've been into since the pandemic, it's like they're really scared. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, you ever not be scared of something and then you're around someone that is? It's like going into a GameStop, it just, you know what I mean? It feels like you're in danger. They're just so
Well,
scared of everyone.
Well, they're also all like claustrophobic. Like
Yeah.
the actual stores, they're tiny stores, most of them that I've been to.
Yeah, it's one of the few stores I see that still has signs up and is like instituting like
Oh,
customer
sure.
limits.
Yeah.
Like that's been gone a while, but you go to
Right.
GameStop and they're freaking out still.
Yeah.
But I guess
Um, Go ahead.
other news, this ain't much to touch on, but for Superman fans, I know you know the date that Superman and Lois is coming out this month,
February, I believe it's Tuesday, February 23rd.
and we will like this isn't a weekly show or necessarily a time basis show, but we're gonna try at least at the beginning to review and talk about it.
And we will
So
preface that with we do realize it's a CW show, so
exactly.
we
So
may only get a couple episodes.
like best case scenario, we could get a season or two
Right.
of good stuff. Then it'll just start to recycle itself.
Right.
And then
So
other news, I can just blow through this real quick because I don't believe you've read, but talking about Superman Future State, I didn't pull it out, but the Batman Superman book is the best.
is
It
that
just always seems to be, and it's the original Batman and Superman that almost looks pre Future State, like maybe directly before what
okay?
happened. Uh, I kind of flipped through this. Uh, it's like there's a magical genie crypto dog. I don't know. It's
I did buy the first Superman and Metropolis and that issue, but I haven't had a chance to read
yeah.
them with everything going on.
Superman and Metropolis and Superman Wonder Woman. Jonathan Kent is wrote like he's the dumbest person on earth, like just a complete moron. It's it looks like some of it may have been part of his plan. I didn't read book two closely, but it seems like he comes through as the hero at the end.
Mm,
Uh, it seems like he's responsible for everything going wrong in book one. Like I think Brainiac attacked and he saved part of them and like created this other being that's like enslaving humanity now.
right.
But uh, not much Superman in this book. I want to like this book. This is the original Superman's trapped on World, but it's kind of weird. It starts off just with this chick like going on a pilgrimage to Smallville, where there's like cults and all kinds of stuff dedicated to Superman, and like she gets to this group of people, they just talk about Superman saving them, and she's sort of a dick to him. Like the best way to describe it, and then it briefly, I think maybe 3 panels of the actual Superman being shown on War in the book.
Oh wow.
And then the other one, I would say with Batman Superman, maybe the best. I think this is even farther in the future. Superman versus Imperious Lex. This is going to be 3 issues. The last issue comes out like a month after Future State ends, like the end of uh, March.
Okay.
But this is written almost like a comedy.
Oh wow.
And what's so crazy about this, why I wanted to spend a little time talking about it, everyone knows I collect mainly from Crisis Forward. I have been going backwards. I just found out that apparently, from a who's who I found at STL Comics,
Yeah.
that Superman or Lex Luthor used to have his own planet called Luxor. Have you ever heard of
Really?
that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Well, I like just found that out, and then here's this book where Lex has his planet Luxor again, and he's trying to get into like the United Planets, but he's been like ravaging the outer rim with these androids and stuff. So like, there's a council here. Let me just kind of show. There's like a council of elders with like an Owen and everything, and they're just sort of like screw Lex Luthor. So like, Luthor's trying to get in the United Planets, and I think at the end of the book, because they find out Luthor's doing that because Superman comes to the council like from being out in space. They're like, oh, well, screw Luthor even more, and Superman's like, well, what about the people and on the planet, and let's think about them. And then they're like, well, we'll let them in like, you know, uh, on probation just so we can monitor them, and that's and Luthor's just out to get Superman as always.
As always.
So we'll see where that goes. It's one of the books that's It doesn't have backups.
Oh, okay.
But that's pretty much what's going on with the Superman family. The only thing not mentioned is Connor Kent is in the Suicide Squad in Future State.
Hmm.
So that's a really weird book. Really weird.
So what's your impressions of Future State so far in general?
If anyone watches Fanboys, I'm so used to these boxes not being here, I can't get my arm up. Uh, I rearranged this whole area today, but I've been calling it amateur hour. That's pretty much what it is. It's very few proven writers or
Right.
artists, and the story you really get the gist because this was going to be 5G. Remember,
Yeah.
it got canceled, and really what this is DC pulling these scraps of unfinished stuff and selling it to us at a really high price to kind of get some money back. I mean, there's some good stuff. Nightwing was amazing. Like I mentioned, I like a couple Superman. The backup story in Suicide Squad was pretty good with Justice League 1 million. If you
Yeah.
anyone remembers the 1 million characters, just a couple little neat little things here or there, but overall, it's
So
it
that's
feels rushed, and that's because it wasn't supposed to be a 2 issue event. It was supposed to be,
right.
you know,
Right. And that's what I've been hearing from, just online watching YouTube is that it is selling better than DC expected to. Like some of the books have gone into second printings and things like that, but it
yeah.
also comes with a a returnable price tag. So like
Mhm.
DC preempted everything by just saying like, well, if it fails, you can just sell it back to the comic book shop. Um,
If you took the Red X out of Titans, this would probably be dead in the water
really.
because that's causing a lot of waves in the speculation market. But like other than that, I don't know why people are
Yeah,
interested.
I I went to the comic book store today for the first time. Well, the regular comic book store, not not our like
Yeah,
STL. Um, and I had trouble even buying or even thinking of something to buy, even the Superman titles, because yeah, it's like what $8 for however long the main story is, and then two backup stories that
and
I
some of them, some books, the backup story is the only thing worth it. But
right,
some books, it's like the backup stories are so poorly written, or not written, like drawn, and it's just hard to even. I haven't even read the backup stories in Superman because I don't like the art in any of them.
right, and so
So
it's
it's like,
so it's hard for
but
me to justify going into future state at this point. I had intended to at the very beginning, and like I said, I picked
yeah,
up the first couple Superman books, but ever since it's just been as I flipped through them today, I was like, I'm not doing this.
what's so funny, and I know but I made a video about the Nightwing one. Like before Future State, we had all this weird Nightwing stuff, like the Rick Grayson phase,
Right.
the Grayson phase. That's where he was like a secret agent. Uh, so like we get the Future State, and it's like he's back to normal, and he's like super bad A, and it's like, oh, all right. Like
Yes.
I had trouble finding the book. Like I didn't get it till just just a couple Wednesday.
I mean, based on that, based on your video, that was the one future state that I've
Yeah,
bought so far in physical form. The two Supermans I have are in digital forms, but yeah, that's the one I bought,
it,
and I read it, and it is really good.
it's so weird. Like I mentioned in my video, this is the second time that Bruce Wayne's been thought dead, and Nightwing sort of becomes the main guy. The first time he became Batman, and he brought a lot of his personality to Batman. Well, in this version, it's like he brought Batman's personality to Nightwing.
Right.
And it's interesting to see because it's like, what if Nightwing just really took it serious and was like, I'm gonna be like Batman, and that's what you get there. Like he's on it, he's kicking butt, he's being smart. Like it's just it's like the one future state book where everyone isn't a whiny bee. So you know,
Right. So, well, I mean, I guess it is what it is, and we kind of knew that moving forward. I guess we were hoping for a little bit more,
yeah.
uh, but I don't know how this all spins out of this.
I don't remember if this was before the show or not, but I think going forward, as far as ongoing series, it might only be Justice League.
Right.
And like, since Bendis is writing that, the only reason I'm really interested is because Naomi is going to be in
Sure.
it. Like, if she wasn't part of the new league, I might just skip because it's Bendis. It's not going to go anywhere. So
Right. It'll just meander along until he eventually leaves the book and then he wraps it up in an issue.
exactly. Did I don't even know if I read it. Did you read any of the end of his run?
I finished yeah, I finished Superman and Action.
I don't think I got the actions, but I know I read Superman and it left such an impression on me. I can't tell you anything about it, and I know I read it.
Well, I know you didn't get the end of Action because it's Romita Jr. and
Yeah, I couldn't stand the art.
he
Yeah, I
couldn't stand that.
remember the last thing I remember from that, like the whole Superman family was together and they were searching the city for someone. I think in the last issue I read.
Yeah, it's with Action. Action is the title that I think clearly, most clearly epitomized Bendis's run. And this is kind of what you've been saying all along. He like leads you along so far, but then nothing happens, and
He'll
that's
grab your attention and be like, "Man, I'm so excited for the next issue,"
right.
but
And that's the whole run was about Red Mist or whatever her name was, and in the end, it was just another sort of like you are good, you can be good, and she becomes good, and it's like the puppet master leading the behind the scenes crime lord kind of syndicate.
yeah,
She disappears like in an issue, like she's just like, okay, I'm gone, like, and it's
like you know what's so crazy about Bendis? There were supposed to be more Leviathan one shots. Whatever
yeah,
happened to those Leviathan books? Because
I
remember,
don't,
there was the mini, and then there was a
right.
one shot, and that was supposed to be like the setup for the next Leviathan thing, and that just never
Well, I know a lot of the Leviathan thing happened in Action,
did it. Okay.
but in the Romita Jr. art, so you,
Yeah.
you
Well, you see, what's so crazy about Ramita is he did a run on New 52. I don't mind,
yeah.
but you look
So
at that compared to the Rebirth, and it's like two completely different artists.
shouting out the chat real fast. The Nerd Herd Comic Book Club, hey. And Russ. What's up, Russ? Um yeah, he has grabbed my attention and I've been collecting a lot of his stuff. I tend to do that. I tend to hate artists, particular artists. And then after just seeing so much of it, it's like Stockholm syndrome where I'm just like, I identify with it. So I've been collecting like Ramita
Didn't he
Jr.
do? He did. Sorry to cut you off. He
No,
did
okay.
the Frank Miller Superman Year One too, right?
Yeah,
That wasn't bad art.
yeah. So what I have learned about Ramita Jr. is that he is a very like sort of first take artist, meaning like he doesn't do a lot of like revision, and so like what comes out is like what comes out, and
So he had a.
some of it's really good and some of it's really bad.
So it's like, what was wrong with his action one run was it just 2020.
Right.
It's like we're seeing his bad year in the art.
But yeah, his Superman New 52 run's great. I love it.
I and I remember seeing the ads like Ramita's coming, and I'm like, man, like the little picture you'd see
Yeah.
is like, this looks amazing.
Yeah.
You like get to Rebirth, and it's like I can't even hardly tell you what was going on in action. I mean, partly because of Bendis, and partly is like I just can't read the art.
Right. Right.
Too bad.
So yeah, he's so that's probably why the Leviathan thing never you never
Never saw it.
never saw it, and that even that kind of whimpered. I didn't read the actual event Leviathan, But
You know what happened? It was like it's a bunch of people standing around in the dark talking, and it eventually just got so dark, and it just they're still talking. We just
yeah,
can't see them anymore.
right. So Bendis is off Superman. I guess that's somewhat new since our last show.
Yeah,
I mean, we knew about it the last show, but like
officially
2021 is
over.
here and he's off.
Yeah, he's gone almost entirely from DC now.
Right.
So
And is he doing Legion of Superheroes anymore, or is that dead in the
I
water?
I don't know because they sure have a great setup for what's coming. Like his Young Justice, his Legion of Superheroes are great. Like I wish it came out twice a month. It was so good, but they had a huge I know this ain't Superman related like reveal with the Gold Lanterns last issue. And
Hmm.
it's like, man, this would be an amazing arc to do next.
Yeah,
So knowing DC
yeah.
will
They've
never get that.
they've canceled it.
As far as I know, he's gonna be working elsewhere, and I think Justice League is all he's doing for
Okay.
DC.
Well,
So
okay.
yeah.
We'll see what happens. Have they announced? I think they've announced the new team for Superman, but I don't know off the top of my head who it is.
I know you had mentioned in the chat we have who like what that person had done. I don't even know if it's male or female.
Oh,
And the one thing that they've done is The Last God, and I didn't get a chance to get that, but everyone who's read that said it's amazing. So that
okay.
gives me a little hope.
Yeah.
So
I want to return to more classic Superman villains. That was the
yeah,
thing that bugged me about Ramita and or not Ramita, Bendis was that his entire action run was not traditional Superman heroes. It was all like the Red Mist and like the crime syndicate or whatever.
well, that's sort of what he did at DC. It was all about his characters.
Right.
Because like he made Naomi, and then he brought Naomi to Young Justice, and he's taken her to Justice League. You know, like
He's taking his toys and he's taking them with
exactly,
him.
exactly. Yeah, he even brought Naomi into the Superman book.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's almost just been about Naomi's trajectory.
Right.
So, but
So, all right. Well, do you want to get into the book
sure.
for this evening?
Yeah.
So I picked this up a couple weeks ago. I found a copy for $1, and so tonight I thought it'd be good. I read it and found it really intriguing. And I haven't read a ton of Elseworlds. I have a ton of Elseworlds, but I haven't yet read them. But tonight we're going to be looking at Speeding Bullets, which is a Elseworlds based on what if Superman had come to Gotham instead of the farm in Kansas. And I'm going to try to. There we go. There we go. We got new technology for the new year.
All right.
So we'll just kind of flip through this while flipping through our books as well. But I have this up on. It says DC Universe in the URL, but it's now what is it? DC Universe Infinite or something.
Yeah.
I guess that's big news as well. As DC Universe has officially transferred over to HBO Max for video content and has rebranded their comic book section.
Yeah. I started to feel threatened by this place when they were getting ready to switch over because it was like every day for like 9 days I'd get an email worded like this is your last chance.
Right.
Like what? You're still around? I thought you went to HBO.
And I'm a little disappointed that they didn't really change the price point very much.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's still pretty high, but I think they are bringing on newer comics sooner than they had been. So if they can continue that, then
Is there something I want to know because DC wants to do this digital stuff? Is there an option? Are they like trying to get you to buy this new content on there?
um, they don't sell new content. But for instance, the digital first stuff that would eventually show up in those 90-page giants.
Hmm.
For the like Superman and the Flash, and I think Wonder Woman, those would show up fairly
Okay.
quickly. Um, like that was a pushing or a selling point that they were trying to push via emails and things like that. Is like new comics this week, and it was those A stories, I guess you'd say,
Yeah.
from those like giants heading over. Um,
Okay.
so that was great, but I had already purchased many of them on Comixology, so I just wasted a bunch of money knowing that they were coming to for free. Well, not for free, but for subscription to this DC Universe Infinite or whatever. So,
Okay.
anywho, so yeah, so Superman speeding bullets. Like we were saying, it's essentially an origin story, which picking up from our last few episodes, we've been doing some origin stories for Superman. And this was, I thought, a nice transition basically from those origin stories to Elseworlds. I know, Tim, you love the Elseworlds stuff, as we talked about earlier, and I'd really like to get into some of these in the future. So, hey, we know how to transition, right?
Yeah. We could keep the Origin saga and the Elseworld saga going for
right,
multiple shows after
right.
this.
So yeah, if you want to get started, I can kind of just flip through this.
Yeah, the first 8 or 10 pages here is pretty. It's going to seem familiar to you. Superman comes to Earth. I believe, it's being narrated this whole time by Lois Lane, right?
Right, right,
And it's all exactly the same, except this time he lands, and it's the Waynes who find him. And I'm, I'm guessing maybe the Waynes are a little bit more different personality than the ones Bruce had. It seems like they, without saying it, like maybe they couldn't have a baby,
right.
so they seem to react a little bit different to. I mean, I was about to say Clark. He is Bruce Wayne. Superman is called Bruce Wayne in this book, and you just kind of see snapshots of how they raised him till they go to. They really made an emphasis that he's a lonely kid because I guess they noticed the difference in him.
Right, and they basically, as soon as he came into their lives, they basically became
Yeah,
recluses.
but I guess they would still take him into town every so often, and they go to see Zorro just like the regular Batman story, sort of a combination here. Only this time, when the parents get shot, I guess Zuko, if it's the same villain here, he goes to shoot Bruce, and you can see like the bullet holes on his tuxedo, and Bruce unleashes the heat vision, which is a pretty cool panel.
Yeah, let me
Yeah,
get to
there's
it.
Bruce getting shot right
Right,
there.
and this three panels plus the next one is like really kind of what sold me on the story.
Yeah,
He basically, has a freak out as you would, any kid watching this stuff. But then, we've talked about it in previous origin stories about, when he develops his powers and things like that. Up to this point, he really hadn't exhibited anything other than, they kind of knew that he was stronger and that his bones wouldn't
yeah.
break.
I don't think he was aware at all until
Right.
this moment.
And you get this this crazy panel.
Yeah, him hitting Zuko and then like scroll down to where he's like trying to hold it in with his
Right.
hands. Those two panels, just fantastic stuff. And I don't
So
know if
it's
you want to take it from here.
Joe Chill.
Oh, Zuko is. I'm sorry, Zuko is the one that got Nightwing's parents. Sorry. Yeah, Joe Chill's Batman.
Same universe,
Yeah,
different murder.
yeah. A lot of similar things happen in the Batman family. Sorry.
Right. So essentially, like Bruce, as any traumatized young kid, he kind of holds everything in, and over the course of his life, he just sort of pushes it out. It says in here that he just keeps remembering that the bullets never basically killed him. They just bounced off of him. And so, here it says, that and a feeling of deep guilt, deep shame. So he's been living with this. And as you can see in these panels here, he's like sort of growing up, and all of this guilt about not being able to do anything for his parents, keeps building and building and building. And essentially what happens, and sort of a precursor to what's going to happen in the future, it shows here that Luther is coming to Gotham. So you get the first sort of metropolis kind of that
1 year
cross.
after a near fatal accident.
Yeah. So Luther has an accident, and then he comes to take over some stuff in Gotham, which we'll get to in a little bit. But this is essentially Bruce as more of an adult, sort of like not freaking out, but like not dealing well with things like murders and all that kind of stuff. So he basically becomes like obsessed with, it says here he needed it, the blood, the madness, and it's a really dark portrait of Bruce Wayne at this point, to the point where it gets even more like macabre in that
It's a bit creepy.
he has a whole room of just paper clippings, newspaper clippings, just pasted up on the
Look,
walls.
look at that facial reaction on the left
Right.
there. I mean, that's just like insanity.
And as we scroll through this, it gets more and more intense, and he basically has this like breakdown again. And this is
It's
kind of the turning point.
it's also mentioning, like, talking about getting his powers. He's hearing these things too.
Right. And so basically what forces him into action as an adult is this: someone breaks into Wayne Manor, holding Alfred hostage, and essentially is like, someone's there to rob him, basically. And this panel here is pretty awesome. He's like, animals, stinking, murdering animals. But then what's interesting about this is that he starts seeing Joe Chill's face, basically, or in his mind's eye, maybe, uh, when he's dealing with these like guys, and he
I didn't even notice that on the read through. That's pretty
yeah,
good.
he like unceremoniously like throws one of them out the window.
Yeah.
And then you can see, he's still having like Joe Chill's like face is sort of like uh, morphing, basically coming more up to the forefront of his mind, and has this freak out. And essentially, this is where he decides to become something more than what he has been. The recluse, the guy just brooding about things, and he goes to basically dispatch this guy the same way with his heat vision, but then he kind of remembers what happened when he did it as a kid, and he kind of lets this guy go at the very last second, and just lights the
Yeah.
fireplace. And this is a pretty cool panel with Alfred just kind of looking almost sadly, because like he probably knows like what's about to come, because I think he in essence leads Bruce down to oh dramatic pose number
Yeah.
one. So at this point, he remembers everything that happened to his parents, and that he couldn't save them. And this is where Alfred sort of takes him down into what's to become essentially the Batcave, maybe, because yeah, through future events here that we're going to get to shortly, his persona as Batman is kind of short lived, but this is where he gets to read and see everything he came with as a kid, and all the journals and things that his dad wrote to kind of try to figure everything out. And Bruce is here, saying, "What am I?" And then yeah, this is where he learns to fly. He kind of sees the bats up in the rafters there, And then dramatic pose number two.
Yeah, such a cool panel there.
Yeah, he goes up and goes flying with his bat brethren.
In Batman versus Superman, I believe they get their powers switched, and I think there's like a panel of Bruce hanging up there with the bats with the glowing eyes too. It reminded me of that.
Yeah, Russ, this is a great one. If you ever have a chance to pick this up on the cheap, would definitely recommend it. All right, you want to take over? Oh, this is getting back to Luther.
Yeah, we get a brief little page here where it looks like Luther set up that attack at Wayne Manor, and that's when I really remembered the book. You could see that Clark's sort of going in Bruce's footsteps, and it looks like Luther may have followed in the Joker's.
Right, as you can see, the classic
Yeah,
sort of eyes in the mouth.
which is pretty cool for an Elseworlds. And
Right.
now we get to see the debut of the Batman. There's a sniper up on a roof, and it like indicates at first that this guy is like sort of done with life. And I love the Batman suit. Like Batman comes up behind him, and you get this splash page of him in the suit. Such a good Batman suit.
Let's see if I can. No. Sorry, I don't know how to work it, so I'll just scroll it.
So this guy, starts shooting him, throws a grenade, and he just catches it and pops it in his hand. And the cops are like, "What's happening?" We hear gunshots and a muffled explosion. You just see the sniper falling off the roof,
Yeah.
and that's where Batman makes his grand entrance, catching him and flying in front of everybody. And then we get a scene at the boardroom. Luther's in the final stages of taking over Wayne Enterprises. That's why he's here in Gotham. And in classic Bruce Wayne fashion, just sort of strolling into the boardroom that he owns, that he's never at. And it's like, nope, we're not doing that. Like, I'm back. You're all fired. Screw you, Luther. Which makes Luther mad. And then we see, it was sort of weirdly like there he is at Wayne Enterprises. Apparently, he owns a newspaper that he is heavily involved in running.
All right.
We find out on the next page. And they've hired, a lot of the familiar faces from Metropolis, like Perry White, and we see the
Brigitte.
meeting.
We see
Huh?
Brigitte Nielsen here.
Yeah.
Sign
And of
of the
course,
time.
Lois Lane, the meeting there. And you see, like, on the fly, he develops his clumsy
Right.
personality. And we see Luther and, I'm so used to flipping the page around, Luther and Lois meet in just typical fashion, and Batman's watching, and it's the normal kind of talk. Luther's mad that she wrote an article in the past exposing him, and Luther bought the paper to shut it down. And Luther tries to come on to her, and she slaps him, so he throws her out in the bad part of town. And I thought it was hilarious. When we get to it, she's like, I've had karate training,
Right.
grew up with an army dad. So what happens when she goes to fight? She's like, just like Clark, I'm clumsy too, and immediately falls over a trash barrel. And of course, that's when she gets to see, also in classic Superman movie or story fashion, him show up to save her. Only she doesn't like what she sees here because he's so brutal.
Right.
She almost says like he's a monster and so forth. I don't know if it's here or a little bit later on. Like somehow she picks up on the man child, just the child on a
Right.
man's body's tendencies.
I like this panel here where he's effectively like, you know, the finger of God. It's like one finger
Yeah,
right through your head.
yeah, it's like that's like something you would see like the Reverse Flash do,
Right.
like threaten you with. Yeah, I'll let you take it from
Yeah, so he saves Lois and thinks that he has done some sort of chivalrous thing for her, and she's like, get the hell away from me, and basically
some dude
smacks him.
dressed as a bat, just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
rip through people.
And so this is kind of interesting in that if it were Superman, it would be a completely different story. But
Mhm.
it is Batman, and it is Batman's sort of uh, not brutal. Well, in this case, it is his brutality, but like if it
The
were typical,
superhuman, yeah,
right?
superhuman brutality.
Like, would she have reacted the same way to what we normally think of as Batman, or is it just that this particular Batman is like extra ultra violent?
If it was like real Batman, Batman could care less about her.
Right, right,
He'd be like, "Quit making trouble and leave."
right. I do. I know we can get into talking about art and all that kind of stuff. I do really like how they handle the snow in these few panels, and that the snow is really only over the character models
Yeah,
rather than the background. It's interesting that they chose that.
yeah. The art in this, I can't say I've ever heard of Eduardo Barreto, but
Oh,
it's
you
right
have,
on.
because he's the same artist who did Luther the biography.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I think he's upped his ante since then.
right,
Not that that was bad, but this is just looking at it, it looks familiar. Like he was in one of the ongoing titles or something. It's
right.
just a name I don't recognize.
Yeah, I knew it looked familiar, and I knew it reminded me a lot of Luther, and then I looked it up, and I was like, oh man, he did both. So you can see, eventually as Bruce flies off, the police come and sort of handle things with Lois, and then we get
Almost a
essentially
reverse of a Superman story.
right,
You know,
yeah,
because in the Superman story, she'd want Superman, not Clark.
right, and so this panel I thought was weird in just that it never really says how much time sort of passes between when Lois comes to Gotham versus and they meet versus this page. Um,
It does at the very end of this page. Scroll down.
oh, does it? Okay.
Look on the very right. It don't answer your
Oh,
question, but
right,
then it says weeks passed.
right. So
That would have been
essentially,
helpful in the front. Yeah.
Lois is working late, um, and Bruce comes up, and yeah, they they sort of cement their newfound interest in each other, and then weeks pass.
This is a one shot. We ain't got time.
Right, right. This isn't a 2 or 3 issue mini. This is gotta get through this. So then we move on to you know a uh, darkly clad figure.
This one of the smartest men alive. This is his plan.
Right, right. Uh, as you can probably even just tell from this one panel that it's going to be Luther, but I do love the nods to like the traditional Joker costume.
Yeah, that's the Joker costume I like the old timey gangster Joker.
Right.
Yeah,
And essentially it just kind of is that he's mad about stories that they run, but yeah, he decides to reveal himself to everyone, and that's a very that's a very interesting Joker face. He rips off his face. It's not even paint. It's like legitimate like paper mache or something that he like rips off.
I hope Todd McFarlane is watching. We need figures of this Joker and this Superman.
Yeah.
This needs to happen.
Yes, it does. That is a very good point.
It's
Uh,
called Multiverses Align.
and he is producing like 5 Batmans per wave, so eventually you're going to run out of Batmans, and you're going to have to start making them.
Exactly. Yeah. we already getting a third Nightwing. Like they just come out with the red Nightwing,
Yeah.
so now it's the same figure but a Bizarro Nightwing face.
Oh, right, right.
Like I already bought this figure twice.
Oh, side
Had
note,
to-
that's back to that. They have announced the Bizarro Superman.
Did they? I
Yeah,
missed I missed that.
it's a part of that wave. I think there's a bunch of Bizarros coming out, and one of them is, typical Bizarro Superman.
Cool.
Yeah. So yes, so back to the story. The Joker's there using something I
Like
would traditionally associate with like maybe the Penguin.
yeah, he is. Maybe it's because he has a body type of the Penguin.
Right.
He's mashing it together.
And throws Bruce out the window, seemingly to his death, and then absconds with Lois on his
Another Penguin thing. Yeah, like the
yeah on his backpack helicopter. It's weird now discussing this, like that it goes from super serious to super campy
yeah. It's like
over the
let's mash every villain from the Batman '60s
right.
show.
So yeah, he absconds with her, and then just kind of really just goes crazy, and it's like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go full crazy.
Yeah.
And bits and pieces of this for some reason reminded me of the Michael Keaton Batman movie, and maybe it is because of this kind of stuff, like the kind of the hokiness of it. I'm not sure, but of course, Bruce's Batman shows up, and it effectively comes out that Luthor has sort of been sort of contributing to revolution attempts in various other places. Here, the Joker's intention was to take control of the city and remake it in his own work image. The independent nation state of Jokerania is
Yeah.
what he called it. Yeah, so, all these war instruments of war come out, and then, Bruce asks him, why are you doing this? Well, why not?
Yeah.
And it's at this point where, what we think of as Bruce in this one is starting to take his revenge and basically just lifts him really far up into the sky and just chucks him down towards the street. And this is where Lois, being who she is to Superman, Bruce is like yes to effectively, committing this act of blatant homicide,
Yeah.
to Lois basically saying no, and this is where the shift comes in.
It's the power of love.
It's the power of love,
Huey
and
Lewis wrote about it.
and Bruce eventually comes to save the Joker and take him to jail. And then the next couple pages is basically Bruce undoing all the militaristic stuff that the Joker's put in place, and get some good action, good poses here, and eventually
I
they
love what
have
he did to the blimp. He just kicks it in the air and then
right,
boom, eye beams. That's some good action there.
right. And then of course we end with the changing of the guard, so to speak. He comes back to Lois, and he has the subtle shift of conscience, basically, because she knows all along that it's Bruce Wayne. And through their night flights, shall we say,
Yep.
she, he eventually takes up the mantle of what we see here on the last page as Superman.
Very Eradicator esque.
Very Eradicator-esque, and this face mask is weird
Yeah.
and like not needed. But here we have, let's see if I can get back to you real quick. Nope. Why can't I go back? Oh, there it goes. So here you can see her sort of thinking here about, again, reiterating it could have been any, he could have landed anywhere and been, a son to any of these people. And here we have the final mention of a Kansas farmer.
Yeah.
And then eventually it's like only one series of events that could have given us Superman. So yeah, that was the one shot of Superman speeding bullets.
This is a good one.
Yeah, like I said, I picked this up. I was really interested in finding this one. I don't know if you had shown it in some one shots or I just seen it through Instagram or whatever. But I had never found it at STL and what have you until the other day, and they had it. He had it in the dollar bins, and I was like, oh yes, please. So I definitely picked it up and came home, and that was one of the first things I did was read it, and yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
Definitely. Like most of these books, like for instance, Superman Red Sun, that got to be like a mini. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like it had more time to really flesh people out. Like this, I don't know, what are we giving, like 5 red capes as the top score? Like
Yeah.
I'd
Let's.
probably I'd give it 4 red capes because a couple things were rushed, like the whole Joker thing at the end was
Right.
weird. I mean, you have to have a way to wrap this up quick, which is what that was. And art, I mean, I'd give that 5 capes. I mean, overall, this is a pretty good book. Like a score out of
Right.
like 97 out of 100, something like that.
Right. Yeah, I would completely agree. Again, like I said, we did this Luther biography, and I gushed over the artwork in that. So knowing that that's the same artist and being able to
Yeah.
kind of recognize that style
Mm-hmm.
was just awesome.
Well,
But yeah,
what is it? DeMatis, J.M. DeMatis.
yeah,
Someone at DC's like, we're giving you an Elseworlds book. We want a what if Superman was Batman? Like they just wanted to make Superman Batman, right?
right,
That's where this came from. Pretty good story. Like you get what 48 pages to do this.
right.
Pretty well done.
And then maybe the next one we can talk about doing, which is by the same artist, but Roger Stern doing the writing, is the nation divided one, the Civil War one.
Sure.
Because I'd like to see again more of his artwork.
Yeah, I love. I'm a sucker from the collecting standpoint. I love one shots and minis. I
Right.
love them, and especially when you get like these prestige format books, the Elseworlds. You're going to get something slightly different every time. Like we could just go through the library of
Yeah.
these Elseworlds and one shots, and I'd be happy doing it.
Yeah, because there were a series of one shots, which clearly we've done, but then for like an entire year, weren't all the annuals of the main series
Yeah,
were Elseworlds.
yeah, that was the Elseworlds label.
Right.
Yeah,
So there's we have a whole library to go through.
yeah. It's like I said, they're not all the greatest thing in the world, but from a
Right.
collecting standpoint, even if I'm like the art in this was bad, or this just wasn't my cup of tea, it's cool to have. And until recently, DC really loved their heritage. Like for instance, uh, Countdown, I believe, between Infinite Crisis and Final. There's actually these series of one shots, The Search for Ray Palmer, where it's like Donna from the Teen Titans and Kyle Rayner, the Green Lantern, and I believe like Red Hood. Uh, they're jumping between multiverses looking for Ray Palmer, and they go to like the Red Sun universe.
Oh, nice.
I did a little video on Instagram. It's a while back. If you're interested, I actually show all the instances. This one multiverse pops up. It's from like the Elseworlds finest. We could do.
Okay.
Uh, there's the Elseworlds finest, and then Supergirl, Batgirl, Elseworlds finest, which is like the parallel Earth where all the genders are reversed. Where
Oh,
like
nice.
in Hunt for Ray Palmer, they go there. In Batman, Superman, they wind up there at one
Yeah.
point doing that. I just love that brings an extra love for these books because like they pop up more than just this book. I mean, not every single one of them, but a lot of them. They go to the Gotham by Gaslight world.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? They go to like the Red Rain world. That's another famous Batman Elseworlds. So I just love it. It's really cool.
yeah, yeah. I wasn't too on board with them when I first started collecting my Superman run, mainly because it was just like, I don't want to.
Something extra, yeah.
I don't really care about Superman as like Tarzan, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, after reading this and sort of getting some of these like prestige one shots, like I'm definitely interested in reading more. So we'll have to continue on
Just
with the Elseworlds.
as much as you love, like as much as we love Superman, you're gonna get bored with Superman. And from a collecting standpoint, it spices it up. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm even with you. Like you mentioned Tarzan, for the longest time, I wouldn't buy the Superman versus Tarzan mini. And then like you come across it like all sitting together in a dollar bin, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll read about Superman and Tarzan. You know,
Yeah. At some point, we'll have to do the Superman versus Aliens one.
I actually don't have that.
Really?
I think there's that and the Terminator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to find those. I'm not huge on stuff. I'll get them at some point, like Justice League, Power Rangers. I have no want
Yeah.
because it's not like it's Justice League versus the Marvel universe or Justice League versus another comic universe. It's like a movie. Like
Yeah. It's
it
excuse me.
don't mix well with me.
It's too far outside the realm of
Yeah,
possibility.
and I know Alien and Predator are comics too, but it just feels weird. Like
Yeah. No, I get you. Yeah, because
yeah,
I'm huge into the Aliens franchise, and when they started doing it was like Aliens versus Batman, Aliens versus
yeah,
Judge Dredd. It was like, oh, okay, okay,
yeah. It's like that, and like I love Green Lantern, but I'm not hugely interested in the Star Trek crossover.
right.
I love Planet of the Apes, but I'm not really interested in Green Lantern. Planet of the Apes is just. But if you find it for 50 cents, I'll buy it.
Right. Right.
So,
So, all right, man. Well, let's get on up out of here, I guess.
did you bring something to
Oh
show?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, I haven't really gotten much, so I'll just kind of show the one thing we talked about it earlier. For Christmas, my in-laws did get me, or no, my mom and dad got me Superman Year One, the collected hardbound edition, which I still have yet to read.
I thought for sure, like with us doing origin stories and you being into Ramita, that was going to be the book you were going to bring up.
Well,
I was so shocked when you didn't.
I haven't read it yet, so that's probably why. Um,
It's all right. Like,
yeah, but like other, hardbound collector's editions, it has, in the back, it has some of his pencil breakdowns and stuff like that. So I'm always a sucker for those. Um, so that's why I definitely wanted to get this one. But yeah, so I guess that would be the one thing I've picked up recently for Superman stuff. Superman Year One, which again, like, 6 months ago, I would have been like, or I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this art.
yeah,
And now I'm like buying the hardcover, like
it's
special edition.
Stockholm syndrome, and
Yeah, for sure.
it's like the guy you were like this, what's the word? I'm like sophisticated collector,
Yeah.
and you get like one Ramita Jr. and like a year from now, it's like scribbles on your wall of terrible art, and
Yeah.
what happened?
Yeah. I went
So,
I went down a rabbit hole and no one could pull me out.
well, I got two things to show. If you watch my channel, you've seen them, but not often you get something cool Superman to show. I did get There's more to this, a lot
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
came with Superman Adventures 5 first live wire, and then the
Yeah, that one's great.
Supergirl Adventures. They did a Batgirl Adventure one shot, and I thought this was a one shot, but it's actually just issue 21 of the Superman Adventures.
Oh, okay.
But still cool. I've been wanting that since I got the Batgirl one. So
Yeah, that's great.
cool
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, I saw those. Yeah,
Yep.
that's a series I see every once in a while. I think pop up in the dollar bins, and I always think about grabbing them, but then I'm
Yeah.
like, it's like two issues of, it's like 32 and 27, and I'm like, I can't get one
What's
through.
funny, the whole time I've been collecting, I would never necessarily go out of my way to get them.
Yeah,
But like those and the Justice League one, all the animated ones, and Batman Beyond, for instance, I would always pick up when I see them for 50 cents or $1.
right.
And I got around this time last year, probably going into Christmas of 2019, I got the Batman Beyond complete series and watched it, fell in love with Batman Beyond. So started going through, and it's like I almost had like a complete Batman Beyond run, didn't know it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
didn't need a ton of stuff to fill it. And
right.
it's the same with the I don't have much Superman, but I have huge chunks of Batman. There's 2 Justice League ones. I have all the first one. And it was just randomly, like you said, 50 cents, I'll grab it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
definitely.
So, well, thank you guys.
Mhm.
Tim, if you want to shout out your socials real fast.
Yep, I'm the comic collector, as you see on screen on YouTube. Tim underscore the comic collector on Instagram. Next episode will be on my channel. Probably the thing with this show, like we may feel up to it. It might be next week. Could be
Right,
3 weeks from now.
right.
So it's hopefully our lives stabilize and we could
Yeah.
semi regularly do it like we did last year.
So
So
average of 2 weeks, basically.
yeah.
Every 2 weeks. So.
Yep.
Well, I'm Jason again, Reshotigo. You're on my channel, so you're watching it on here. Instagram Reshotigo as well. And like I said early on, January was a little bit too much 2020 action. So hopefully that
Yeah.
stuff is over now, and I can get back to resuming normal normal filming and things like that. I got a lot of stuff lined up and waiting to go.
Hopefully
Just
this will be the year. I don't even think it's Corona now. If we could just meet up somewhere there and 50 people ain't there,
right,
we might
right,
do something live together, or at least
right.
record together at some point.
Yeah. So we're gonna we have a lot of, well, not a lot of stuff. We have several things in the works
Yeah.
for whenever the world sort of calms down just a little bit more. But looking forward to that, doing that stuff. And yeah, so see you here a couple weeks. And yeah, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for us for stopping by. Thanks everyone who was in the chats. And thanks for everyone who checks this out afterwards. Thanks for
Definitely.
everyone who has come by in the past. And thanks for bearing with us as we get this going in the new year. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
See ya.
All right. See you guys.